As a reminder, I'll be recording this session for, I know there's at least one or two of you that have to leave a little early today. That's okay. There is a good amount of important information that I'll be giving towards the end, looking forward to kind of the end of the semester here. So if you are going to leave a few minutes early, I want to just say that you are encouraged to rewatch the last couple minutes of this video that will come out so that you can get a sense of all the dates and programmatic requirements that are coming up. But with that, I just want to say welcome once again. Thank you all for joining us today. Can I have a volunteer to open today's session? Any of our wonderful Global Smarts mentors who are willing to open today's session?
I motion to open the session.
Mr. Kaiser, thank you for making that motion. The chair recognizes Mr. Kaiser's motion to open today's session, and the motion is approved. Okay, let's jump right in. So we are steadily moving through the Global Smarts mentorship program. You guys are steadily moving through the spring semester. And we kind of are into the second half, kind of the final stretch, almost the final stretch, more the second half than the final stretch of the Global Smarts Mentoring Program. Your students have attended 2 of the 3 conferences at this point, with the Cultural Diplomacy Conference back in January, and then all of your students have now attended the Preparatory Conference either last week or all of your students were last week. We had a couple of schools that were this week, but no schools that are in the Global Smarts Mentoring Program. All of our students have done 2/3 of the program now, but the final program, the final conference, really what is the Super Bowl of the Global Smarts Mentoring Program, is not until May. So we still have a couple of weeks to go, and we have our 2 big kind of program deliverables that we're asking our students to do for our program in the next couple of weeks. And I'll talk about all those deadlines and everything. I hope you guys had a chance to join for the prep conference, either in person or watching the recording. I did one of the recordings, and I think it kind of left a little bit on the table in terms of just interest, how interesting it was to watch a recording of me doing that presentation with no audience, or my colleagues Kristen and Casey doing their presentation with no audience. Hopefully you guys got a chance to join us live. And if you did, that you enjoyed the conversations that we had with our students. It was a really exciting program. I thought all of our students, not only the Global Smarts students, but kind of the program at large, really dove into resolution writing. And I was kind of thrilled with the progress that they made over that hour-long or 3-hour-long program, I should say. We're going to talk about resolution writing in a little bit. That's going to be one of kind of the future things that you'll be doing with your students. But as always, I'm going to take over our screens just a little bit and talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. However, I do want to start with our little successes that we always begin with. It's been 2 weeks since we've seen each other at this point. So I'm hoping that some of you guys have some successes that you would like to shout out, whether those are personal successes or perhaps you've seen one of your co-mentors or classmates or friends in the program that have done something really exceptional. Feel free to shout out one of each other also if you'd like. Does anybody want to jump in and share a little success that they've had?
I can.
Go ahead, Kylie.
As of yesterday, I finished all my midterms, so that's a really good feeling always.
Excellent, congratulations. So midterm season are you guys right in the middle of it right now? And Kylie, you're just done a little bit early, so everybody else is like, oh no, this is prime studying time also. I wish I had known that. So I'll cut this down to try and make it to 6:15 instead of 6:30 so that you guys can go back to hitting the books a little bit. But congratulations, Kylie, for finishing your midterms. Yeah, Jolie, go ahead.
Shout out to Maggie Brennan for always doing the emails for our group and keeping our teacher always in the loop.
Yeah, shout out Maggie. Love seeing those emails come through. I appreciate being CC'd on them. I don't need to be CC'd on them, but I do appreciate to see that level of communication that you have with your mentors. I think when in doubt, CC me on those emails, just so I'm kind of kept in the loop. But shout out Maggie for sure. Your communication is on point with your faculty advisor. So definitely appreciate that on my end. Anybody else? All right, well, I'll jump in here if nobody else has one. About 6 or 7 weeks ago, I adopted 2 cats along with my dog, and that was a interesting getting to know each other period. We'll put it that way. They are within the last like 3 or 4 days, they are finally starting to cohabitate together. So the cats who got to prowl the house at night and my dog got the house during the day are now able to actually cohabitate together. So a little success in my world over here. Does anybody else want to jump in, or should we keep moving? Last opportunities. Okay, well, I will just keep it moving, and we're going to talk first about recapping our position papers. So overall, position papers were very good. Some were very, very strong. Some seemed a little bit rushed. I do want to shout out some strong papers that I read, sorry. Jolie, Kelsey, Bella, and Daniel, fantastic job. I thought you guys delivered some really strong position papers, and and just want to say shout out to you guys, because I think positive work deserves some positive recognition. So well done to those 4. There were strong papers submitted beyond just those 4, but I just wanted to shout out those 4 in particular. Some feedback. The thesaurus is your friend until it isn't. Make sure that when you use a thesaurus that you are using it well. Thesaurus is, sometimes I could tell when you guys were using a thesaurus because you were using synonyms, but like not entirely correct synonyms. So if you do use a thesaurus, try and make sure that you are using it well. Spell check isn't enough as well. Read through your paper at least one time to catch pretty obvious mistakes. Here is a mistake that I have found, and I think reading the paper out loud, you might have been able to catch this one fairly easily. So again, proofreading over and over and over again is helpful, and small mistakes like this are funny to read, but ultimately, if you guys are turning in anything, you really should proofread, preferably proofreading something out loud. Is pretty incredibly important, so you avoid mishaps like that. But again, just overall, great job on your position papers. Launching into lesson plan, session 8 lesson plans, we're really going to start working pretty exclusively on our position papers, both writing the position papers and writing an outline for the position papers. Again, this is where school individualization is really going to matter, and it's really going to take an effect. Your schools are all in different places. Your students within your schools are all in different places, different ability levels. Their ability to craft a 2-page paper might be fairly easy for some of them. For others, that might be one of the most daunting things, and frankly, something that they would be unable to do without some pretty significant support along the process. So you're going to have to spend some time over the next couple of weeks really working with your faculty advisor, with your group, to try and set reasonable goals and deadlines for your students. What do you want them to accomplish within 1 week, within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks? All position papers for our students are due by April 30th at the latest. That's kind of like the hard deadline, is April 30th. They'll have resolutions due on April 30th as well. So I encourage you guys to maybe set kind of like a softer deadline in advance. And again, you should be working with your faculty advisor on this, especially around school-specific deadlines, days off, things that they have to work on with, very school-specific projects, that type of stuff. You should communicate with your faculty advisor about where you want to set these deadlines for your students, and micro deadlines within that. When do you want to have their outline completed by? When do you want to have one paragraph completed by? When do you want to have 3 paragraphs completed by? So on and so forth. So many of you have noticed that you don't have enough time in your sessions to actually have them write position papers in class with you. I would encourage you to think of how you can offload some of this position paper writing work in out of class work, or work that your faculty advisor can help your students with over the course of the week, rather than condensing all of the position paper writing into whatever 40, 50, 1 hour block that you guys have to work with your students. So again, communicating with your faculty advisor is going to be critically important here as you try and figure out what the exact schedule for your students to complete these items are. One thing I want to be very aware of and very conscious of is, and this is something that we've heard from a number of our faculty members, not necessarily your faculty members, but faculty members from all the 30-odd schools that we work with this year, is that students are experiencing an incredible amount of, I think for lack of a better word, like stress and anxiety about the ability to complete assignments, especially for extracurricular activities like ours. And I want to just be aware of that and cognizant of that. I don't want to be pushing our students too far. Ultimately, position papers is meant to be an introduction to research and writing position papers for your students. If it doesn't come out to a 2-page, perfect, manicured document, that's okay. We're really going to just try and work with our students at their level right now. Whatever we can get them to do, that's fantastic. You guys won't be graded on your ability to get your students to write really good, quality position papers. It's more the efforts and the lengths that you guys go to make sure that your students are able to do this, or given the opportunity to do this. Whether your students take that opportunity or not, whether your faculty advisors take that opportunity or not, is kind of outside of your control. But I do want you guys to think about how you can best work as a group, as a team, to set reasonable, I don't love the SMART goals things. Have you guys ever heard of SMART goals? Specific, measurable, actionable, timely, and is that it? Reasonable, I think, somewhere in there. I don't love that acronym, but if that's how you have to think about it, you should, think about setting SMART goals, reasonable goals for your students to accomplish every week. Essentially, over the next 3 to 4 weeks or so, we're going to be working pretty exclusively on position papers. We're going to transition in, again, 3 weeks or so to working on resolutions, which are also due by April 30th. So there are 2 pieces that are due by April 30th. In terms of what's more important, in order to participate in the Junior Model UN Final Conference, you really need to submit a completed resolution. For those of you who saw resolution writing in action during the prep conference, it's not a terribly long document. It ends up being, just a couple of sentences that they have to write. Some of it is research informed, and so they will have to do research. But I would say the resolutions, at a certain point, probably about 3 weeks or so from now, maybe 4 weeks or so from now, we're going to need to kind of fully transition to writing resolutions and have to put down position papers. So if you have to think about kind of like a soft deadline in the next 3 or 4 weeks or so for position papers, we're going to then transition to resolution writing. And then we could pick up the position papers again if students complete their resolutions before April 30th. But they really do need to complete resolutions before April 30th. So again, just think about how you can, work with your faculty advisor, work as a group to kind of chunk this out. What specific deadlines, goals are we asking students to do by each program day, by each Global Smarts session. So I'm gonna stop sharing for a second and drop into the chat for you guys. This is the lesson plan for this week. It's not particularly lengthy. It is, there's a YouTube video in there that we can, that you can watch on your own. It's about 2 minutes long. It's Kristen, if you guys know my colleague Kristen, she's doing a voiceover of cartoons. It's called Powtoon. It's like a little cartoon video editing software. It's actually kind of cool, but it goes over what position papers are kind of holistically. So it's a good introduction that you could show your students. But ultimately within there, it kind of describes what we're asking our students to write. Most of you guys nailed it with your position papers, at least like content wise, in terms of, setting up your country, just kind of introing your country as a economic, political, and in economic, political, and health terms, and then transitioning to how your country interacts kind of with global health in general with the United Nations. You guys did a great job with that. You kind of want to mirror that with your students as much as possible. That video includes basically the outline of 4 paragraphs and what all 4 paragraphs should include. So essentially the position paper, when it comes down to it, we say 2 pages maximum. We kind of give all these things that students need to do. We're really asking for 4 paragraphs, and each 4 of those paragraphs are laid out in that YouTube video. I have it written down as well, and I don't have it open, unfortunately, but I can forward that to you guys, and I'll post all these things to the Google Classroom for you guys as well. But you can start with that video. Ultimately, what we're trying to do for this session is just create an outline. If your students have already started researching and working on their position paper, perhaps you're a step further than this. If not, that's okay, because we're going to just start by having them craft an outline. What do we want those 4 paragraphs to look like? Can we start kind of sketching out some topic sentences for each of those paragraphs? And starting to have them kind of explore kind of the structure of the paper that they're going to be writing. One quick note about resources and researching. So that used to be a pretty big component of the Global Smarts mentoring program, was really having students do a lot of this research. We've slowly transitioned away from that. Previous mentors might have known that we used to build websites for our students and give them a lot of the research that we would do for them. That is something that you're probably going to have to do again this year. Not the website part of it, not creating your own website, but front loading some of that research for your students, especially because our sessions with students are shorter this year. On average, your Global Smarts sessions are shorter this year than any other year before it. So we don't have that time built into our day with students to really play around with researching and clicking through different websites and trying to find facts and everything. You might have to front load a lot of that research for your students. So that's just something to be aware of as well. And something that you might need to come prepared for each time you meet with your students, having front loaded a little bit of that research. How you break that up with your group is up to you. If you break that up by country, so every person comes prepared to speak or with a little bit of research or resources on their assigned country, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is basically have each person take a paragraph of that position paper and find resources for various countries that pertain to the topic of that paragraph. And again, that YouTube video explains a little bit more, and I have a document, and I'll try and pull it up when we go on break later, that shows you kind of exactly the 4 paragraphs that we're looking for students to create. There's a little moderated caucus activity in here as well, just to kind of reflect on what they thought about the prep conference. I'm interested what your students think about the prep conference. This is not something that you have to do. I did star this. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen, so clicking on things are not helping. I starred the one that said hook. So that's the one that I would like you guys to really focus on this year, is the position paper outline. This moderated caucus mini discussion, kind of part 2 of the lesson plan here, is something that I'm interested in. The feedback that your students have, how they found the resolution writing piece of it, how they thought the parliamentary procedure piece of the prep conference went. I'm more interested in that than expecting you guys to come back to me with your student thoughts or anything like that. It's just a good way to kind of recap and reflect on that that program as much as possible. I'm interested to see what your students pulled out of it and how that might be similar to different to what you pulled out of it if you were able to watch the live version, or if you had to watch one of the recorded versions, what did your students pull out of the program that you weren't able to get in the recorded version of the program? Just a moderated discussion along those lines. Just an opportunity for you guys there. And then finally, at the bottom, we have a Jeopardy game, and I'm going to share my screen again. Apologies for taking over. We have a Jeopardy game available to you guys. Oh, sorry, I should have showed you guys this as well. So I believe you guys can see my screen. This is the paragraphs. It is written out right here. Sorry, I should have showed this to you earlier. This is our, I didn't think that I had it pulled up, but I did. This is our kind of handout student packet that we usually use for session 9, I believe this is. Yeah, week 9. So here are the 4 paragraphs that I was mentioning, and I was unable to recall from memory, but here they are written out. Paragraph 1, review background of your country, geographical location, government, population size, etc. Paragraph 2, discover actions taken by the country's government. That's in relation to the topic, whatever your subtopic is. Paragraph 3, search for statistics to support your country's position. And paragraph 4, explore possible solutions that your country believes should be adopted. So again, your students might not know the answers to these, might not have ideas kind of right at the tip of their tongues, but I encourage you guys to do a little bit of research beforehand. So if they do kind of struggle to get going a little bit, you have some areas to point them to. This is a longer list of things that a position paper should include. I hesitated to include this because it can be overwhelming to students. I kept it in there because I thought that it might be helpful for students to see some of the things that they should be writing about. But again, I'm going to give this to you guys in a Word version. This is one of these fillable documents here. I'm going to give this to you guys in a Word version, and you can change this section, delete it, alter it, however you'd like, whatever you think works best for your students, because at this point, you guys are way more in tune with your students' abilities, needs, etc., than what I know from my position. And then there's just some position papers, tips and tricks down here at the bottom. Again, when we've talked a lot about resources for this program, we have created a number of resources for this program already. In wacphila.org, well, if you just go to the homepage, wacphila.org, we have a drop-down menu that takes you to middle school programs, and then general program materials. There are, going back, ensuring healthy lives and promoting well-being for all resources. This is the topic-specific one, and we have our briefing papers, we have subcommittee topic briefing papers, we have additional recommended resources that cover a whole bunch of SDG 3 things with subpages involved in those. So we've already done a lot of the kind of front-loaded research for you guys. So you guys, all you have to do is kind of sift through some of these resources, maybe find some of your own resources, and then present those to your students. So you're not necessarily starting from scratch. You can start from some amount of already gathered resources for you guys. So that is the packet. The packet is very short because essentially what you're trying to do this week is create an outline and introduce what a position paper is and how your students are going to go about crafting this position paper in the next couple of weeks. We also included this Jeopardy game for you guys. You could use this website, superteachertools.us. It's looks like it's from the 90s. There's an original version or a new version. I think there's some connectivity issues with the new version. I was using the old version when I was just playing around with this to make sure that it's still active. It is. You guys can make your own Jeopardy game. I've done this for, I did like a kind of like a practice run one with just like 2 categories. But I encourage you guys to do it. It was fun to make. Your students might like it. There's some really important information here about like the timing, because if you don't do it right, it can be really frustrating to your students. By the time that they read it, it's over. But it's just an opportunity for you guys to have a kind of a fun little review review game, Jeopardy style, if you'd like. I know some of you have like hour-and-a-half long sessions and need a little bit more content. So this is an opportunity for you guys to use that. For those of you that have like shorter sessions, 40, 45-minute, 50-minute sessions, perhaps the Jeopardy game just isn't for you guys. And you have to focus more on your position papers, as well as sprinkling in the fun stuff. I don't want to forget that we're going to try and sprinkle in as much fun stuff as possible for this program. Okay, there's a request to send a link to the PDF. Yes, I will link all of these PDFs for you guys in the chat. So here, the second one there is the packet for you guys, and then the third one is the Jeopardy game for you guys. Again, all of these will be uploaded. Oh, Sarah, sorry, that was sent directly to you, not to everybody. Try this again. That's the first one, and that's the lesson plan, and the second one is the Jeopardy game. Those are all the things. Again, I'll make these available to you guys on the Google Classroom in just a few minutes after we're done. Any questions at this point about next week program, the next week's sessions, doing position papers with your students? Anything that you guys have that you'd like to discuss right now? No? Pretty straightforward. Again, you guys did a great job with those position papers. I think everybody nailed like the scope and content and kind of like the framework of the position papers. Really my only like gripes here and there where some of you just didn't spell check or didn't read through it and correct some of the obvious mistakes. But if you just kind of take what you did for your position papers and kind of, replicate that for your students, that would be excellent if your students could pull that off. Okay, so it's 5:30. Let's take a quick 3 or 4 minute break. We'll come back. We'll do a full 5-minute break. Why not? 5:35. We'll come back from our break, and then you guys will probably just go straight to your team room so you can talk for about 15 or 20 minutes. So break until 5:35. See you guys back here in a couple minutes. I'm hoping that we can get out of here right around 6:15, 6:20. Just some more brief notes for you guys. Just got to pull up my PowerPoint again. Scroll down. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the upcoming dates that may affect scheduling. Another thing that I would like you to think about is your Junior Model UN final conference dates. There are multiple dates in May Please confirm yours. Just make sure you know which date you are. I can show you guys in a second, but more than just confirming you know what program date you are, what does it look like with your final schedule? Because it is a couple dates in March. You must attend your school's final conference date. Some of you might be already done your semester. I totally understand that. That you probably don't want to come to a final conference program after your semester is over. I sincerely apologize that some of these are scheduled beyond your academic calendar. This is where the middle school academic calendar and college academic calendars don't really line up perfectly well. So I really would prefer you guys to still attend your final conference date. I haven't really talked with Lisa or Danielle at Temple about like what I can do to like mandate you guys to be there. I don't really want to get to that point with like your grades will already be submitted and stuff like that. I don't want to have to like go down that route. So really, I'm just asking for you guys to attend your final conference date. And I think your students would like it. I would really prefer it. And it's something that we do to ask at the beginning of this program, although your final conference date is after the conclusion of your semester for some of you. You will be scheduled to staff this program. So what that looks like, staffing this program, we're still kind of coming up with. It might be as simple as just being the adult in a breakout room. I have to kind of speak with my organization and Temple and St. Joe's about what that exactly looks like. But just like in any kind of educational setting, anytime you have kids in a room, whether it's a virtual breakout room or a physical room, you have to have an adult in there. And you guys will be used as staff to staff or facilitate one of these programs. If you have a conflict with your program date, please connect with me ASAP. I think I have our program dates here. Yeah. So we have St. Gabriel's and Amy Northwest. You guys are on Thursday, May 20th. Juniata Park, Shawmont, and New Foundations. You guys are on the 25th. St. Mary's, Hope, and Cook, you guys are on the 27th. JSU, you guys are on the 28th, and that should be all the schools. So those are your program days. So go ahead and just confirm that and make sure that you guys are available if possible for those program days. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you have a known conflict, please let me know as well. With this being a virtual program, you guys would have been required to be like in person if this was an in-person program. With a virtual program, the like I'm out of town thing is a little bit less appealing as a conflict because you could still log in wherever you are if you are out of town. Looking ahead a little bit, your resolutions, so you guys, just like with position papers, you guys will be writing resolutions. They will be due Friday, April 16th. We're going to start talking about resolutions in the next couple of weeks and what it looks like for you guys to write resolutions. Just like your students, we're going to do our own final conference. It'll be Thursday evening, April 22nd, during this regularly scheduled time. We'll run through the final conference, just like your students will run through the final conference about 3 weeks or so later. Your resolutions will be due on the 16th. I look at them, I kind of take pieces of all your resolutions and Frankenstein monster them into one resolution that we will ultimately debate, discuss, and amend during our formal final conference program. So that day, just for your knowledge, will be a little bit longer. Thursday, April 22nd. We might run the full hour 45, 2 hours for that program day. Just a heads up. We might have guests for that as well. Education department members, potentially funders, board members, because they're having some trouble getting into our and watching sessions with students. We're considering having them watch this final conference, kind of pseudo final conference that we're running in-house on Thursday, April 22nd. Again, if you guys have questions with that, I'll be opening it up for questions right at the end if you have any questions about that. A big housekeeping note, you guys are off the hook on Thursday evening sessions, April 1st. That will not occur live. I will record a session and send it out to you guys via email. So you guys are off the hook for Thursday evening. I know that you guys have a lot of travel plans. That's Easter weekend, the weekend following. So I would love for you guys to have that opportunity to brain break and enjoy your holiday weekend. I will record the session and send out via email. There will be some nuggets in there that I will ask you guys to respond to via email. So you will need to watch that and respond to a couple of those nuggets that are in there. Do you need extra credit or a grade boost? This is something that I have that I've been speaking with Lisa on, in particular. Temple students, I haven't really started talking about your responsibilities because you guys are interns as well. It's a little bit different, but especially for St. Joe's students, we are going to have 2 opportunities for you guys to do extra credit. We have a mentor spotlight for the council's social media and marketing. So it's basically like 5 to 7 short answer questions about yourself, your work in the Global Smarts program, your career ambitions. It's like super simple. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. It has to be done, well enough that you can't just like fire off anything to me. It's got to be like complete sentences and like full thoughts. But that is a good opportunity to get some extra credit if you would like. And you could also staff additional final conference dates as well. For final conference dates, times are not exactly confirmed right yet, but likely it's going to be about 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's about 3 hours from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you're available any of those dates, all of those dates, I'm happy to take you to staff for the final conference, in addition to the one that you will be assigned. You'll see that we have 7 program dates there. We have the need for about 5 staff members or so on each program day. That's a lot of staff. We're a small organization, so anybody who's willing to do that, it would be greatly appreciated if you were able to join us for additional final conference dates. Some upcoming speaker programs. Shout out to those of you who have been live questioners during our expert speaker programs. We've had a couple of you guys ask excellent questions, including today. Thank you to those mentors who have served as expert questioners for our for our upcoming speaker programs. I encourage you guys, if you do sign up for them, I kind of just, pull a name out of a hat to see if anybody wants to ask a live question of our panelists. Essentially, you're given the opportunity to unmute your mic, unmute your video, and ask really intelligent, world leaders and diplomats and whoever we bring aboard, whatever question that you would like. Not whatever question, but topic related question that you would like. If you're interested in any of those opportunities, you could reach out to me. But basically, I see who's registered for the event, and then I just kind of pick out of a hat who I ask to ask that question. But if you're actually interested in doing that, just reach out to me, and I'll let you know. We give first priority to high school students, but high school students can't sign up for all of our programs. So you guys are a great fallback if we don't have any high school students. Upcoming speaker programs, I will include all of the links to these, the access links, in a follow-up email tomorrow. So don't worry, I'll include all of this information tomorrow. We're starting a series with Chile, the country of Chile. What can Chile teach us about democracies and constitutions? I think I've talked about this before. They're doing a constitutional rewrite right now. They're rewriting their constitution. Well, not quite yet, but they just had a referendum to say that, yes, they will rewrite their constitution. A modern rewrite of a constitution is very interesting. Chile is a very interesting country in particular as well. And South America is a really interesting region that I don't think people know enough about. I certainly would love to know more about South America as a whole, and Chile in particular. I encourage you guys to think about that. They're writing in, I think quotas is probably not the right word, but the number of women lawmakers, indigenous lawmakers that they want to have as that constitutional writing process. So really interesting, and I encourage you guys to check that out. I think we have senators from Chile coming to talk to us, which is really interesting. On April 20th, we have Combating Climate Change, Making Green Energy Solutions Accessible and Affordable to All. Pretty straightforward climate change program. It's a webinar. I encourage you guys to come to that program. Should be super interesting. On the 21st, just a day later, we have our Air Wars program, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and beyond. It's a lunch program. Super interesting topic. Anybody who's in the defense world, intelligence defense kind of track, that's probably one that you might be super interested in. I encourage you guys to think about joining that program. And then this goes into probably after your semester is over, but again, I want to make these all available to you. A program recently announced on the Iran nuclear deal, the US, the EU, and the future of the nuclear deal. Should be a super interesting program as well. Check out our website for more information on our speakers there. Super, super interesting. We have our education speaker series next Wednesday. Again, Women's History Month. We've kind of been teasing this for a little bit of a while here, but we have confirmed State House Representative Elizabeth Fiedler. If anybody is a Philadelphia native, they've probably heard Ms. Fiedler or Representative Fiedler on NPR or WHYY, our local affiliate of NPR. She was a great reporter for a long time. She's been not a reporter for probably half a dozen years now, because she's ran for office and was elected. She represents this chunk of Southeast Philadelphia, and she is, in my opinion, just a fantastic person. Was a great reporter. Honestly, I haven't followed that much of her state house representativeness. I don't live in that part of the city, but I encourage you guys to join anyway. She's super impressive, was a great reporter. All I hear is that she's a great house representative as well. So all of those are available to you. I will send along links at the tomorrow during our program. Oh, Devin, I just see your comment here. Is there a link for the Women's History Month event on 3/24? I will include that in the program, in the email that goes out tomorrow as well. Apologies, I just don't have it in front of me right now. And I don't want to make you guys sit here while I dig for that link for you guys. Okay, so that is the conclusion of everything that I wanted to say today. I have some follow-up notes. I didn't get to every school today. If anybody has any questions, anything that they want to talk about, I'm going to stick around for a couple of minutes. But again, I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you do working with your students through this challenging year. I think we're all starting to see, now that we've been in these schools for, what, 6, 8, 10 weeks now, 8 weeks, I think, something like that, the pressures that our faculty, advisors, our students are facing in this virtual, hybrid, insane world. I'm not significantly older than you guys, and you guys aren't significantly older than the students that we're facing, that we're working with, but the challenges and pressures of every generation are just way bigger than the generation before them. I didn't have to deal with social media when I was their age. You guys, they're dealing with issues that you guys didn't have to deal with when you were their age. So I just, have the utmost compassion and respect for these students who are surviving as well as they can in a crazy year without the ability to fully, they don't have full free will over themselves. They're still children, and that can be a really challenging, scary place to be. So I just want to say thank you again for working with our students. It's incredible what you guys do, whether you see it or not. I just want to say thank you once again. Okay, so I'm going to stick around here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stick around. If not, just have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, take care, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Have a good weekend. Eric,
Yes.
when are the position papers due for the students?
Oh, that's a good question. We have a window. We're calling it a window. The hard deadline for being available for awards is April 30th, the same deadline as the resolutions. We accept them anytime between then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I just had a quick question. So